Noswaith da, Shumai o Vrista. Good evening and greetings from Bristol. My name's Glenn Cosby, and I am here to talk to you about applying for medicine, dentistry, and veterinary science. So, why study these three courses? Well, they give you absolutely phenomenal employment prospects. If you have one of these qualifications and you want to work, you will always be able to find work. They also offer incredible career plans, lots of progression, both in terms of seniority and also to do with research and clinical specialization. The range of study, the areas in which you can take that specialization is exceptionally broad. We know this not only that not all doctors are GPs; they could also work in a hospital and specialize in gastroenterology or oncology. You name it, the list goes on and on. But in terms of research, it can be even broader still, and the same applies both to dentistry and veterinary science as well. They are rewarding careers and they are respected careers. It's often said that teachers, I should know, I used to be one, and policemen and women no longer have the respect that they once did. I think it's still true, though, of vets, doctors, and dentists. People look up to them and acknowledge that you not only have a valued, important role within society, but you also have shown yourself to be someone that can be trusted and looked up to. It is a vocation for many people practicing these careers. I would strongly urge you to think about alternatives if you're fulfilling someone else's ambition. These are hard paths to tread. While immensely rewarding, they are not for the faint-hearted. Vocation means calling, and most people would say that practice these three professions that it does feel as if it's a calling for them. It's important for them to do this job and to help people. That doesn't mean, however, that when they were at your age, they didn't have plenty of questions and doubts and reservations about the career, the profession, the training, the science, or their own ability. That's very healthy and to be encouraged. But what I don't want you to do is to mistake an urge for these, to practice one of these careers for that calling, to mean you have to be completely without doubt. By the time you apply, if you get to interview, you should have worked through those doubts and reservations, but don't be put off by them at this stage. And you said, you gain, as I said, a professional qualification. Now, what else do you need to know? You have long hours as a student, much, much longer than if you're studying arts and social sciences, but even much longer than if you're studying a lab-based science like physics or biology. You would tend to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and that could last not just for the 3 years that an undergraduate degree in physics might take, but for 5 or even up to 6 years. It's worth knowing there are other ways to help people. There are other ways to work with people and with animals, and there are other careers in the health sciences. It's important to explore your options and be sure you know what you're heading towards. You also have to apply early. The UCAS cycle generally opens from September through to the following January, but if you're looking to apply to one of these three courses, you have to apply early, typically by the 15th of October, but we don't know if that will still be the same for 2023. UCAS forms allow you to make 5 choices, but that choice is limited if you're applying for medicine, dentistry, or veterinary science to just 4. Harsh reality of why that is, well, it's UCAS's way of forcing you to give yourself a plan B. These courses are competitive, and unfortunately, more people with the appropriate grades will apply for them than there are places. That means they need to go to extra lengths to decide who to offer the place to, and they want to be really reassured that you know what you're letting yourself in for, not only possessing the skills, the intelligence, and the aptitude, but also that you're making an informed choice, knowing that this is, as I said, a challenging, tough route. If you've seen This Is Going to Hurt, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend you watch it. It shows a real insight from a junior doctor's perspective of just how tough a career it can be. Unlike the hundreds of universities offering general courses, there are far fewer veterinary schools in particular than dental schools and medicine schools than there are general universities, but that does still give you a lot of choice. What I would start to look into, though, is not where you fancy studying, not which city you like the sound of, but rather which university, which school has an application process which is most likely to result in you getting an interview. Now, let's look at a brief look at that process. It varies from school to school, from course to course. They might require you to do a clinical aptitude test. This could be taken before you apply or after you apply, and it's designed to give a sense of why you're the right kind of personality, why you have the appropriate skill set to want to work in a clinical environment. Some universities will set great store and will read very carefully and even score your personal statement. The University of Bristol, where I work, used to do that, but we don't any longer because we don't think it's a most appropriate way to establish whether or not you are a suitable candidate. It often tells us more about the school and how much support and advice you're getting from school or from home. Work experience is usually required. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. And the last stage usually is an interview. This could either be a traditional interview where you sit on the other side of a table from three, four, or possibly even five experts, or it could be something called an MMI, multiple mini interviews, as many as 5 to 8 stations, each one testing a slightly different skill or area of knowledge, or to talk about your work experience, not designed to be 5 to 8 times more difficult and challenging, quite the opposite. These are designed to give you different opportunities to shine. The timeline is quite an important one, and the fact that you're looking at this video and you're thinking about this early is great. You can't start too early to look into open days, to start to explore the universities, the courses you might be interested in, to register for virtual events, to look at prospectuses either online or order them in person. And the work experience, the sooner you start giving yourself the chance to gain those insights, talk to healthcare professionals about what the job actually entails, the better. When we come around to June through to September next year, that's when you'll be able to sign up for and take the aptitude test, the UCAT or the BMAT. And then, as I said, September is when UCAS opens for the 2024 cycle. The date has yet to be confirmed, but it has typically been the 15th of October for applications to apply to the universities of Oxford, Cambridge, and to study medicine, dentistry, and veterinary science. Early applications because they're considered and they're processed early, and you could be invited for an interview as early as November, or possibly going through as late as March the following year. And that again varies from university to university. By August the following year, you should have your results, you'll have had your offers, and hopefully you'll then know that you've done it and you can relax and celebrate and head towards confirming your place. So what are they looking for? I said the way they assess your application varies, but the things they're looking for are basically the same. Usually specific A levels, usually including chemistry and another science. Usually they'll score your GCSEs, and then they're looking for a real enthusiasm and a realistic interest in these careers. As much as you can prove that by doing online research, independent reading, and where you can going on work experience. The list of skills at the decision is at the bottom is a really long one. I said decision because I just read decision making. It's a long one, but those are the things we know that healthcare professionals need to bring. And ideally, you should look for opportunities during your sixth form, during year 12, from now. And this could be within the school, could be volunteering, could be doing Duke of Edinburgh. It could be all kinds of different ways that you can show you have those skills and you're prepared to deploy them in the service of others. They will generally look for relevant academic ability, which will be typically expressed in the form of A levels, but there are BTEC equivalents, and most med, dent, and vet schools will have a scheme that creates the opportunity for contextual offer. At the Bristol, you can see the differences between 3As and ABB. You might qualify for those, and if you want to find out more, visit their website. They will possibly and almost certainly accept other things, including the Welsh Bac and the International Baccalaureate if you're studying those, and should express what grades and expectations they have. They will probably score your GCSEs as well. Some universities welcome resits. Bristol love them because if we think that if you had to take another run at your maths to get to that 7 or A that's required, that shows dedication and commitment. Other med schools, dentistry schools, and veterinary schools won't accept resits, so you have to check that. If you took your GCSEs or have recently come into an English speaking environment, they might also look for a test of English, and they'll almost certainly look for a clinical aptitude test. We use the UCAT, other med schools use BMAT. The brilliant thing about this whole process is it doesn't need to be a secret. So finding out what they want and how they're going to decide whether to give you that all-important interview or not should be freely available. The University of Bristol has an admission statement like this that explains exactly how we decide who we invite to interview and who gets the offer of a place. You can get the same information from every university you're interested in. Asking the question is a good thing, not a bad thing, and it won't prejudice your application. So what you should do next, look into those work experience opportunities. We don't know for certain whether or not the expectations for entry in 2024, which is the year you're probably looking at, will include work experience as a compulsory or a desirable requirement. But the sooner you can get it, the more able you are to prove that you're going in with your eyes wide open. Think seriously about what motivates you. What do you want to do? As I said, if you're trying to fulfill someone else's ambition, or if you want to be a doctor, a dentist, or a vet because you think that's what you should do, that's what the best people do, these are not great reasons. Try instead and think about the pros and the cons. Check the eligibility for contextual offers and look into things like the summer schools. So Bristol has two summer schools, the Sutton Trust and the Insight into Bristol, both of which open for application in January 2023, opening the windows of applications open until March. These are entirely free courses, both of which have a stream for the health sciences. You can spend 5 days, we'll pay for you to come to Bristol. You can spend 5 days getting experience of university life, seeing what it's like to study these health sciences, exploring both the university and the clinical sides, and also get a lot of help and support both in writing your personal statement and preparing for interview. Loads of help is out there, and the sooner you start researching that, the more you might benefit from it. I hope that helped. Please come and see me and my colleagues in our exhibitions. We'll be here live to chat to you, to answer any questions, and I wish you nothing but the very best of luck.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, gwybodaeth werthfawr eto. Thanks for all that important information. We know it was a lot of information to take in, but our panelists are ready and are with us tonight to answer any of your questions and help you to identify from the support available what suits you best. Cyfle I chi holi'r cwestiynau. Ewch felly, head over to the Teams live meeting in the Applying for Medicine, Dentistry and Veterinary Courses room for the live Q&A starting at 6:50. Welai chi yno.